Hello, Steve. Hello, Jill. It's time to game classy.
Yeah, I could make it. I could take the edge off.
You know, it's not. It's I've been outside working, and it's just like my entire body is just like uber, like just like I can feel it.
That's what happens when you do nothing for years and then do something.
Well, no, I got in like really good shape last year, like over the summer, like really good shape, weightlifting, exercise all the time. And I took a break over the winter.
Yeah, a couple months deletes all that.
Oh my God, it's just like it's gone 100%. Like
Yeah.
my body is like I have some painkillers that I had left over from like an operation
I'm
not too long ago.
I'm not exaggerating. Like you if you're in shape, a few months of doing nothing will remove your body's memory of being able to do things. You'll be like, wow, I used to be able to bench press and not hurt like hell the next day. And it's like, yeah, well, it's gone.
Well, I mean, it's not even like lifting stuff. It's
just exertion.
I was digging a hole, and it was just
that's basically lifting
the
stuff.
Worst. I mean, it's that just shoveling and everything.
Yeah,
like
that's
that.
a huge amount of muscle groups you're activating when you're doing that.
My wife was like, well, the tree in our backyard's cut down. Let's put in some planter beds. And I'm like, well, if we're gonna put in planter beds, we're gonna do it right. So the last few days I
don't even know what a planter bed is.
It's just raised beds for like plants. It keeps your vegetables.
Put pillows on there.
Yes, so your plants can get a nice night's sleep.
Nice.
No, it keeps the soil more moist. It's better for your garden to have a planter bed, and you put grates up around it so the rabbits don't come in and eat all your
moist.
shit. Yeah, I know. It's whatever. It's like it's like suburban things to do. Actually, you could do that in the city too. It's actually pretty good to do in the city, but it's one of those. It's just I'm so physically exhausted.
You gonna get
right
a chicken?
My wife wants chickens really bad. Like she's been
two.
What?
You gotta get at least two.
Yeah, and I'm not against getting chickens, but at the same time I'm like, I don't want to do the whole chicken thing because there's the person who's going to be in charge of those chickens is going to be me because my wife, God bless her, she's going to be like take care of them all for like 2 months and then it's over.
Well, yeah, that's why you just get two chickens. They're not too bad. You're just gonna keep an eye on them, make sure that they're gonna need a place for the winter though because they will freeze.
Actually, we looked into it in that if you,
you can have a coop.
Yeah, you have to have a coop and everything like that. But if it's like as long as they don't get the wind on them, they're fine.
Yeah, so then you need a coop.
Yeah, and that's essentially what my wife wants me to build is a chicken coop, and I'm like, I don't want to do that. That's just and plus I have this thing with like killing animals, like like when they get too old, like it's you make cock a vin, you make something out of the chickens, but at the same time I'm like, I don't want to have to kill a chicken. That's not my thing. Like I appreciate the concept of a farm fresh and doing that. That's fine, but at the same time, I just don't want to have to do that. That's not me.
You could just keep them until they die and then bury them.
Yeah, like you could do that too, but that's like a waste. Like you to the end of their life cycle.
People really should eat their dogs before they die, right?
Yeah. You take them over to the Korean place, you get them made to barbecue. It's all good.
Went straight to the racism, as expected.
It's easy. It's Korean. It's not many Korean listeners. This Kim Jong-un is like listening to this. He's like, we have to kill them now. Nuke game classy.
Actually, it would just be you.
Yes.
I'd be like, I'm sorry, great leader.
It's a glorious leader.
Yeah, I'm sorry, glorious leader.
Oh, you just did it. You called him great instead of glorious. You're doomed now.
He's beyond glorious. He's resplendent.
Resplendent leader.
Yeah. So see, I'd be safe. You're going in one of those little boxes.
I'm going in the box, the North Korean box.
You're going in a box.
Resplendent leader.
You're never gonna see again.
Oh man. Oh God. Yeah, I'm just like right now. I'm like, I need alcohol. I need alcohol to numb this pain. Like last night, I think I finished off like a bottle of wine just by myself, just to numb the pain. So, anyway, welcome to Game Classy. It's been a while, and
I don't think it has.
Well, we recorded early last time, so it's like a week and a half, 2.5 weeks.
It's like a few days difference.
Yeah, it feels like a long time.
They won't know.
If I don't get my 2 weeks with Steve, the
listeners won't know.
Feels a long time. Yeah, I know. Maybe in a voice, something a little more wistful. I don't know. I'm your host, Joe, and with me, as always, is the Kylo Ren to my Darth Vader, Steve.
Dude, that's not cool.
I know you hate Kylo Ren.
Not cool.
I'm leaning into the Steve hates Kylo Ren thing. I'm just going to do that for now.
Couldn't you at least call me your Grand Moff Tarkin?
My Grand Moff Tarkin.
Because then I could use be Peter Cushing, who's fucking awesome.
Nah.
Dude, I'd even take Dooku.
Yeah, you're. Oh man, my daughters have been obsessed with Episode 7 lately. That's all she's been wanting to watch, and it's like I'm not even pushing it because I'm just like, whatever. But she's just like, I want to watch it. So, and then like we went to Target for grocery shopping. And she saw the Rey costume, and she's like, "This is all I want. This is all I want." I'm like, all right. So we got her the Rey costume. And it's been ridiculous.
Like a manta ray costume?
Yes.
Like with the stinger?
With the stingray, yeah.
And a little dead Steve Irwin to
Yes. Crikey.
Nice.
Oh, right through the heart.
I'm going to get it real mad and get my hand all the way up its bum.
He died, Steve. He died for your sins.
He died doing what he loved, fucking with animals.
Yes. That crocodile's the most dangerous animal in nature. Watch me put my head in its mouth.
Well, that's the thing. I'm sure it's been said many times, but like, he gets killed by one of the most docile fucking things on the planet.
It's like getting killed by a kitten.
Yeah, it's like yeah, I grab venomous shit all the time with my bare hands, and I'm around extremely dangerous animals 24/7. What kills you? Manta ray.
Yeah.
What?
I mean, it was like, it's really weird. Like when you think about it, it's like, wow, that is the most freak accident known to mankind. I mean, granted, you're in the ocean. And we spent how many years of our evolution getting out of the oceans? Why would you want to go back in?
The ocean is a horrible, scary place.
That's me. I was raised in a city. I live in the suburbs. It's like when people are like, yeah, we're gonna go out camping. I'm like, why?
Yep, I agree. I abhor nature. I love looking at nature.
Yeah.
I like watching, I love biology and super interesting and, ecology and all, everything involved with nature is really cool from an observation standpoint.
Yes, I'm with you on that.
But going inside like a tent, why?
Yeah.
A, I can't shit in a toilet in a tent. B, there's no internet.
Yeah.
C, I want to play video games and watch TV. I can't do that in a fucking tent. All I can do in a tent is be uncomfortable and cold.
The only thing separating me from a bear is a very, very thin piece of like vinyl. Yeah. I don't want anything to do with this.
Guess what? You know what's separating between you and the bear? Fucking nothing.
Nothing. Exactly. It's like we spent 2 billion years trying to get out of the ocean. We finally get out of the ocean. People are like, "Let's go swimming in the ocean." I'm like, "No."
It's like that guy who lived with the bears. He's like, "Yeah, bears are peaceful." That guy's now bear poop.
Yeah, and it's the same thing. Like, why go out into nature and do that?
Yeah, I mean, but you know what? From an observation standpoint, like, I probably would even do like a trip to go like observe and then leave.
Yeah, like a safari.
Yeah.
You go to Namibia or like Tanzania or someplace like that. You stay on like a nice reserve and you're like, okay, this is great. This has got all the amenities of a hotel and everything like that. Yeah, the internet's kind of shitty, but I'm in Africa. What do you expect?
Actually, the internet's probably better than ours.
Probably. And then you're like, okay, I'm going to go on safari. You hop in a little Jeep, you drive around, you see a cheetah in a tree. You're like, wow, that's a cheetah in the wild. Great.
And then you go home.
Let's go back. I'm going to get my buffet,
yes.
Filled with exotic animals and food like that, and be good.
Fruit and eggs.
Yeah. Maybe some zebra steak. You're okay with that.
Probably not zebra steak.
I don't know. I wonder how zebra tastes.
Probably not good.
You don't think zebra tastes good?
I don't think most wild animal tastes good. I think it all tastes kind of funky and gamey.
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah, but I mean that's part of the appeal of
game. But that's not appeal. That's what I'm saying. Like that's.
Well, I mean, it's all depends on how you cook it. I've
funk.
It's funk. I've had bear before. Bear's been pretty good.
I've never had bear, but
it's bear chili.
It seems well. Yeah, I mean, if you chili it or you jerky it, it doesn't count. Like,
well, that's what I'm saying. You have to wild animals. You have to because they taste like whatever it eats. So like,
right, which is random garbage.
Yeah, like deer tastes really good.
I like deer jerky a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I've had deer sausage and deer steak.
They're herbivores, so like they eat pretty much the same thing.
Yeah, so like
constantly.
when you eat a carnivore though, like. I've had lion steak before.
Yeah, lion was fucking funky as shit.
It is pretty funky. I did
not care for it.
It's I think once again it's how you prepare it that really is the thing that matters. Anyway, let's get into some gaming stuff. The Game Classy curse was in full effect. After as I said earlier, we recorded like a couple days earlier.
We recorded on Thursday and it was announced on that Friday.
Which we would have been like totally on top of. If we were just like
on Saturday
like we normally do, and they announced awesome. Warmahordes Mark III, or what do they call? Are they calling it Mark III?
They have not mentioned the fan base is calling it Mark III.
Yeah,
but Privateer Press is calling it War Machine Prime, Hordes Primal. they're not calling it Mark III. Or
why can't they just why won't they just combine it finally? This would be a perfect opportunity just to combine the worlds. Worlds collide.
I mean, they are combined. It's the same thing.
I know, but I get that. But I mean,
you buy the one you need to. You buy the. You only need one, or if you play a faction for each, you need both. But it's because the mechanics, the powering mechanics are just different.
Yeah, I think this would be the perfect opportunity for them to merge them, just smoosh them together.
They don't want that. I don't think anyone wants that.
I know, but I mean, in tournaments, you're still going to see you'll still see Trollbloods versus Menoth.
The rules are all the same except for the differences Focus and Fury. That's the big difference. But
I get it. Don't get me wrong. I get it, but I mean, it's essentially the same thing just by different names. You could combine it together. It should be fine. But anyway, they're announced Mark III, and I know Steve's been lamenting the staleness of Mark II for a very, very long time.
Yes.
And as I came over to
the general poopy butts of it,
I was like, Steve, you better know something about this because I know nothing about what's going on with Warmahordes.
They haven't revealed any full details yet.
Yes, the full Monty.
But that's coming June 12th, free rules.
Ooh,
so that's going up. And then at the end of the month, it's going to be available to buy. I've already pre-ordered my copy of Prime and Primal. So
do you still have that Crisis Army? Or did you sell that?
It's gone.
Okay, I figured.
Yeah, it's gone. The Cyrus. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, whatever. Cyrus Crisis. Whatever.
They actually got a huge buff. Yeah. So I've been listening to I've actually been pretty excited about it.
Okay.
And I've been listening to all of the changes they make. So the big changes, they're changing the way Focus and Fury operates, is because I've said it before. One of the problems was Fury is busted in the early game. It's so much better than Focus, and then towards the end game, Focus is better if you make it to the end game, because I think Hordes a lot of times beats War Machine. When it has that Fury advantage,
4 or 5 turns in, 3 or 4 turns in.
It has that when it has that advantage. But what they're doing now is instead of having to have your Warcaster put out all of its focus at the start of each allocation phase, when you generate your focus, every one of your Warjacks gets a point for free. Just boop. They all get one. And then with Fury, the change they made is that you get a Fury point for dead War Beasts. Because that was one of the problems with Fury is if you kill their War Beasts, their Warlock is useless. He does nothing because he just can't cast. It's I don't have any Fury, so I can't do anything. So they just lose. So in order to balance that out, they now, if the War Beast if it's a light or heavy War Beast, it generates a Fury for being dead. So when if 4 of your War Beasts is dead, you still get 4 Fury a turn from them, so your Warlock isn't completely useless.
Okay.
So that's a big change, which is really good. They removed psychology tests from the game.
Oh, really?
Fucking gone.
Wow.
Yeah, no panic, no terror, no fear. It's just gone. Completely removed.
I know you hate Psych in most war games.
I hate Psych. Because my dice luck is terrible.
Yeah.
Fucking miserable. And the more randomness needs, the more I'll just be well, I just fucking fumbled that roll. Like I said before, and plenty of orc games where they force a panic test on my general's unit before I get a turn, and I'm just boxcars, and just whoop, boxcars to flee off the table. I'm cool. Cool. And that's I do that kind of shit consistently. So anything that removes that kind of chance is good in my book.
Yeah.
And removal of psychology is huge. I'm interested to see what this does for Crix, because their army was very heavily dependent on, one of their biggest strengths was they were all immune to psych, and they also inflicted a lot of psych tests. Now that was kind of their thing. They're the undead. It's their usual rule of thumb. So I'm interested to see what comes of that. Skill checks are gone. Because before you used to if you had a unit that wanted to cast a spell, a solo or whatever, you'd have to make a skill check, which was 2 dice to roll under a value. That's gone. Now they just do it. So a repair, if you had a repair guy, you had to roll a repair check and then roll a randomness to see what the repair is. Now he just repairs. You're just boop, repairs for this much. Boom, done. So that's gone. It seems they've removed every dice roll in the game except for
combat
to hit to wound. That's it. Which is that's what you want. Especially in a game that builds itself as the competitive miniatures game.
Yeah, I could see that being a lot more on the competitive edge, because part of what keeps games from being super competitive is that the randomness.
Yeah, the super
So now
randomness.
this is more skill-based, how you allocate your resources as opposed to
getting diced.
Yeah. Which is interesting, because I've actually had this conversation with a couple different people that I feel that there's no dice consistency anymore. It's weird to say, but back in the day of GW, everyone played with GW dice, essentially, is what they did. Now, with the kind of mass exodus of people to different game systems, people are playing more with Chess X or just other random dice. I mean, there's lots of companies who are making custom dice. Now, how well balanced those custom dice are is really, really funky.
Well, it's an interesting thing you bring about dice. Like, if you wanted to have a 100% competitive tournament, you would need to
Vegas dice.
Standardize the dice.
Yeah. I mean, you could. Vegas literally has the most standardized dice you could ever possibly
you could use
get.
them or Game Science.
And it's Game Science is pretty good too. But they, I think Game Science might even use the same company. But the way that they're
cut from a sprue.
Well, yeah, that might not work too well. But the way that the Vegas dice are is the reason why Vegas dice are so clear is so you can't see any bubbles in them.
Right. Well, yeah, the Game Science dice are clear, and so but Game Science dice are within like 0.001 micron of error.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, for non-randomness. So like they're going to be the most random possible dice.
Well, and that's why I think that like
because chess X and stuff, they're tumbled. They're rock tumbled, so like they generate like they're still pretty fucking random, but they will over time you'll see where they lean. You'll be like, oh, these dice lean higher or these dice lean lower.
Exactly. And like, you know, I've seen it before in tournaments where guys come in with certain dice and they're just rolling hot, and you're just like, is this like just luck, or is this because they just got a good batch of dice? And like I've seen that become kind of an issue as of late in a lot of things, because there's like a company out of Australia that's producing dice for bolt action, and a lot of people are getting those, and those dice roll hot so often, and it's kind of ridiculous.
One of the other ways to circumvent this completely is both my preferred version. What I would do if I was running a tournament, I would actually enact this as a rule, and I'd like shared dice.
That works too.
You use the same dice, like so. Like you if your dice are hot, they'll be hot for me too. Like if you
that works too. I mean, like that wouldn't be too hard to do for a tournament. Like you buy a pack of 12 dice. You put it in the center of the table. You say you only can use these dice when you're rolling.
Yeah, I prefer that, because then there's no question. And like there were people caught at the bunker who were cooking dice.
Yeah, I mean
I can't remember his name, but he was like straight up like they were like, you cooked these dice, and he's like, yeah, I did. And he's like, I admit it, and they kicked him out. And I was like, yeah, did you cook his dice? Like. And that happens.
And that's why I think that they're like the Vegas dice are a great example, because they are clear, they're see-through.
Yeah, translucent dice are important to mitigate the cheating.
Once again, that's a new rule for the Game Classy tournament that we're going to run at some point in the future.
Shared dice.
Shared dice. They'll be clear. No issue.
That's one of the things that in Pokemon tournaments for the card game. Coin flipping is a big deal, and everyone uses a dice instead.
Yeah.
But the official rules state it has to be a translucent die.
Yeah.
And both players, they recommend both players share the same dice.
The only thing I don't like about the Vegas dice is Posenio dice. We'll get back to Warmahordes in a second.
They're big.
They're huge, and I hate big dice. I like small dice.
I like them for psych tests where you're only rolling 2. And actually, they'd be fine for Warmahordes, because unless something changes, the max amount of dice you can ever really roll is 5.
Yeah, it's low, and
and that's unlikely.
Yeah.
Like 5 is not common.
Yeah,
because that means you need to be boosted and have like several
I was gonna
other
say
buffs.
like I think I was max rolling 3 back when I was playing.
Because a normal is 2 and then boosted is 3, but you might have like Weapon Master, which gives you an additional, and then a buff, which can like the max is like 5.
Yeah,
and that's with many buffs. So for Warmahordes, Casino dice are ideal probably.
Yeah, I mean it's just they're big, and with mini dice and with mini games too is like you don't want to have like those big, like you're rolling like 8 of those big dice and they tumble onto the table and smack into all your models.
Right. Yeah. I also recommend.
Well, you like smacking into other people's models. Like, take that.
Well, yeah. I mean, I throw it. I hope they just don't notice I'm whipping dice at their models.
Yeah.
I'm a big proponent of dice trays.
Dice trays are nice,
and just chuck your dice in there. I like that. So, but
anyway.
big changes. So the Focus Fury thing's getting changed. They're removing a lot of randomness. Pre-measuring is in, which is really funny because there's like so many like crybabies about that right now. There's like, oh, it doesn't take any skill, which is stupid because the game has a rule. The game had a rules loophole written into it, which was you can measure your Warcaster's control area at any time, which means pre-measuring was already in the fucking game. You just couldn't call it that, and like you had to like be a dick about doing.
Yeah, I mean, I think pre-measuring is, unless you are playing a absolute friendly game. Pre-measuring is kind of a thing because people cheat all the fucking time.
Pre-measuring is the standard for miniatures games.
Yeah.
War Machine and Horror. I mean, I don't know about butt action, but
no, there's no pre-measuring in butt action. But
okay, so then that's the only miniatures game that I'm aware of that's currently being supported that doesn't have pre-measuring. The big one, War Machine Hordes, like they were the last one. Like 40K is pre-measuring, Fantasy is pre-measuring.
What's Fantasy?
Had pre-measuring. Kings of War has pre-measuring. Dark Age, Wrath of Kings, like so many games are just pre-measured because it's it eliminates the most common rule, like just straight up eliminates the most common rules complaint argument of like that guy was a half inch out.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And it's like, because I mean that's, and like in fantasy and stuff, like that was like the difference between winning or losing a game, because like a failed charge fucked you so hard. Like, oh, I move half and then get my shit wrecked. So now having pre-measure, you just pre-measure and you go like, these guys are in range, and if they have an objection to that, they go like, they're not in range. You're like, you can decide before you go like, I'm declaring a charge and fucking myself because of this, quarter of an inch.
Yeah, I mean, and it's there is some, as I say, with a friendly game, it's kind of fun because I mean, like, and bolt action, which as I always say is the game I'm currently playing, so and it doesn't use the pre-measurement system. It could be kind of fun because there's certain times where you're like, do I, don't I? I mean, like, and that's what I think of like with 6th edition fantasy. It's the same way. It's like, is this going to be in range? Is this not? It could be a lot of fun that way. But I'm saying with a tournament game, it doesn't make sense to have non-pre-measuring because there's so many things that people can get butthurt about with it.
Yeah, I mean, and ranges are ranges are important, and like having the ability to be like, okay, this is not in range, and then adapting to the fact that they're not in range, even though they looked like it, that's good.
Yeah, and plus, there's so many stupid things with like, okay, well, you set up half the table's a standardized 48 inches across. Your deployment zone is 12 inches up, so you're able to kind of, and his deployment zone is 12 inches up, so you can kind of figure it out from there as long as you're paying attention.
Exactly. So, and like I said, and they had a built-in loophole to pre-measure.
Yeah,
already.
And there's those dicks who would be like, who'd have like the notepad and they would be like writing down their measurements and your measurements to kind of like figure it out.
But that was the way the game was designed. It was like, it was supposed to have this like weaponized trigonometry thing, and like they're just like, yeah, we just got rid of that because it's a fucking it's extra complexity for no good reason.
No, from everything that I've heard so far about Warmahordes and things that you're describing, they are leaning heavy towards the competitive edge of the game. They want this to be the new competitive mini game out there.
What else did they change?
I shouldn't say new, but
they want this to be the standard.
The standard, yeah.
There's so that pre-measuring is in. Focus Fury changes. Points costs they've been quote unquote doubled, but they're not actually doubled. What it is the previous scale of points was too narrow. So like the solos being 1, 2, or 3 points means you have a lot of solos that are wholly over. They would be broken at 2 points, but they're overcosted at 3 points.
Yeah,
and then you have guys like Gorman DeWolf, who is 2 points and he's fucking broken, but he'd be miserable at 3 points. Just like a weird.
No, and that makes sense. I
thing.
never really liked the way that Warmahordes did their point costs. I mean, I liked the simplicity of it, but I also think that it did narrow the cost. I mean, essentially what they're doing is they're just balancing it out. If
it's going to be a 100-point game, and now Gorman DeWolf is going to be 5 points.
Yeah.
Because they needed the ability to put people at odd numbers where it would make sense.
Yeah.
And then Colossals are all getting way juiced in points. So, like, they're going to be like 40 points or 50 points. So it's literally half your army if you're playing at 100 points, which looks like it's going to be the standard size game is 100 points.
Yeah, that's really high.
But it's not, because remember, everything's doubled.
Yeah, but I mean, even if like you think of it as a 50-point game, it's still really high.
Because they're going to, in theory, it won't be a lot of models because Warjacks are going to be really appealing now. So you're going to see people taking like 24-point and like 35-point Warjacks. So I don't think I think you can make an absolutely huge army with infantry spam if you want, but I think that would be not effective.
Well, yeah, because with Deathclock, having that many figures on the table would be ridiculous.
You will lose because you will be trying to move figures.
Which is another great thing. I mean, like, don't get me wrong, I don't not actively like. I don't hate Warmahordes. I think it's actually a really good system. It's just a little too complex for me in terms of like, not complex, that's a bad word, but the competitiveness of it and like having to learn the combos. It's kind of like Magic at this point for me, where it's like I get it and it's actually kind of fun to play on like a friendly level, but the competitiveness, I just don't care enough to be that. Or Call of Duty, or like people who play Call of Duty online and they get so fucking competitive. It's
they
like
learn the meta.
Yeah, it takes me. The way to get me into it is not fun because I'm like, well, why do I want to play this? I'm going to get my ass reamed.
Supposedly, all of they haven't said anything about newer combos in the way they are. Supposedly, they haven't exactly said what's what, but the statement I heard was all of the current combos in the game are dead.
Oh, cool.
So
you got to learn a whole new.
It's from the ground up. it's a new. It's what's old is new. And,
so they probably spent probably the good last year really refining the system, which is probably the reason
they said they've
why,
been working on it for like 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, which is probably the reason why Mark II stagnated as much as it had. Is they probably put a lot of work into it. So you're probably going to see a much better game.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. I mean, all the rules change. They went over some of the army specific rules changes because like I was asked, the first question I had was the convergence. I was like, what the fuck? What's there? Because their big thing was they could move off focus between warjacks, but their jacks were not that great. So having one focus point to move through your warjacks was kind of like, it was a cool bonus, but it wasn't enough.
I could see you being like, well, in this, he's riding a winged Appaloosa, and in this one, it's a winged Arabian. I hope someone got fired for that blunder.
Jeez, how could they blow it so hard?
Hold on just a second.
Yeah, and then I had a unit flank, skeleton unit flank a unit, and a knight unit charge the front, and I did 1 wound.
Nice.
Which means I flubbed on like 40. Oh no, and I had a character in it too, which means that I was like, we're talking 50 dice. Like I missed like I don't know, that was my that's my average usually.
Yeah.
15 wounds on it, and you needed a day 8 to break it.
Oh, okay.
But you rolled a 7.
Yeah.
It was fucking garbage.
Yeah.
It was my usual like I can't roll whatever I need, just trash.
Sorry if that seemed like we jumped what we were talking about. I had to run to the bathroom really quick, and I just unpaused it.
So Warmahordes.
Yeah.
Warmahordes is like they're just they're like everything's coming back. They've changed all the armies, and what the big thing with convergence is you can now do 3 points of focus. Ooh. So that means that they can have a fully focused warjack. Every warjack in their army can be fully focused for the expenditure of 2 focus.
Oh, okay.
So, or no, rather, it is 3 because they don't have the rule where all their warjack get a focus point for free. That power up is gone. They don't have that.
But can you? I don't know. I was going to make fun of you for a second. I just can't think of anything really that funny.
You don't know enough about War Machine Hordes.
I don't know. I was going to say something about tapping mana, but I can't think of something right now.
And the other huge news for minions.
Yeah.
The Pigmen and the Gatormen now are fully usable together.
Oh, cool.
So for the longest time, people were like, please give us this army. Like, they're 2 half armies. Just let us play them together. And now they're like, yep. The Pigmen and Gatormen are now living together. The 2 tastes.
Well, the Pigmen and the Gatormen should be friends.
2 great tastes that taste great together.
Yes, like chocolate and peanut butter.
Then you have mercenaries as well. Same thing for the War Machine side. They are
so
now
the pirates can fight with the
dwarves.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that was the biggest thing for the dwarves were some of the strongest mercenary choices, but they were also the most restrictive.
Yeah.
Now you can actually stick them where you want.
Ooh.
Yeah, and we know where you want to stick them.
Stick them up my bum. You're gonna shit yourself, dude. I think you just did.
So that's a huge change. All of the army's weaknesses have been problems have been addressed. So Protectorate, their mat on their warjacks has all been raised by 1. So they're all 6 now instead of 5. And the reason they were at 5 before is because their buff spell was a +2, and it was 2 OP at 7 or 2 OP at 8. But okay at 7, but they're like the buff was too important, so they just tried to that's the kind of tweaking they're doing. They're like, we're just changing the buff now adds 1, and your base stat is now 6 instead of 5 and 2.
Well, let me ask you this, because you've probably been seeing this way more than. How has the butt hurt been with the fans?
The biggest point of contention appears to be the pre-measuring.
Yeah,
but I would say that the quantity of butthurt is very small. Yeah,
because I mean the butthurt on Bolt Action version 2 is intense.
Yeah, no, it's not like that. It's like if there were 10 guys in the room, 1 guy would probably be really upset. If we're doing the sample size, that's probably about.
Yeah, I mean, that's
level.
I guess I've gotten to that point in my life where I'm just like, well, fuck it, whatever they want to make the rules to be, I'll be okay with it. We'll work with it.
Well, I mean, because War Machine has been the same edition for about 6 years.
Yeah,
so there's a lot of people who have. This is their first minis edition change.
Yeah,
they don't know.
I guess that would be a thing.
They're like, oh my god, this happens.
I mean, I guess it's been about 4 years since the demise of the 40K tournament, the 40K behemoth. So I guess this is a lot of people's first real edition change, because when 40K went from 7th to 8th, I think that's when a lot of people officially left and started War Machine, and so I guess this would be the big change for War Machine. So
yeah,
I guess a lot more people be playing Guild Ball.
I don't think so.
No,
I think this is actually going to kill the growing trend of Guild Ball. Because a lot of the guys who were going to Guild Ball were not satisfied with the way War Machine and Hordes was at the moment. So unless they dumped their army, which they might have, if they kept their army, they'll probably be dumping Guild Ball and playing War Machine and Hordes again now.
Ooh.
Or just, they might keep Guild Ball because it's only like 7 models, but
it's sports ball.
It is.
All right. So I would have.
Sports ball game.
I went to Half Price Books before I came here, and I picked up something. I picked up some fun stuff.
Is it porn?
No.
Do they sell porn in Half Price Books?
They do sell hentai.
Nice.
I found these.
Some West End game Star Wars books.
Oh yeah.
Are they all second edition?
They are all second edition.
a real fan will be playing a first edition.
But I've been actually looking for these because these I think are the only 3 books you really need for West End Star Wars. So it's the main rule book and the Imperial and Rebel source books.
Finally, Amon Calamari.
Graphic Both-on Violence.
I mean, the one good thing about both and Violence. Like I said, the one good thing about this is that it doesn't have Jedi, which is the stupidest thing in Star Wars.
Yeah, pretty much. I was saying earlier, my daughter's been obsessed with the episode 7, so I gave her all my old Star Wars toys. I have a ton of old Star Wars toys from the 80s and the 90s stuff. Like, I had a bunch of it, and so she's been playing with it, and she's like, I don't have a Rey figure. And I'm like, oh, well, I'll see if I can find. So I went to Toys R Us.
And she's just been like, but you could use one of the other rich and varied female characters in Star Trek. Star Wars. There you go. Here's Slave Leia.
Yeah, exactly. And so, like, I was like, well, okay, I'll go find one. So I went to the Toys R Us near me, and it was like none of the Rey figures. It was all like the random alien dude from the movie. I'm like, well, fuck you, Hasbro, or whoever makes these toys, because like you know that there are people who want to buy the main figures. Why are you overpacking all these?
Oh, they shafted Rey.
Oh yeah.
Like,
well, I mean, you couldn't even find
a ton. Like in Monopoly, there's no Rey piece.
You couldn't find. Like, you couldn't find any of the main characters. You couldn't find Poe. You couldn't find Finn. You couldn't find Kylo Ren.
Saying Poe is a main character is stretching it.
I know, but I mean, still, he is a relatively main character in it. I mean, I would put him on the level of, I don't know, I wouldn't say Wedge, because Wedge had less screen time, but I mean,
he's also a poor man's Wedge Antilles.
He is a little bit of a poor man's Wedge Antilles. I mean, like, Poe is like a funny Wedge. Like, Wedge was all business all the time. But then, so I went there and I was like, oh, okay.
His name was also Wedge. Fucking Star Wars. Our Star Wars names are the worst.
it's how he's supposed to shoot that's no bigger than 2 meters. He's the bullseye.
I used to pick Womp so he teaches even back home.
And then Wedge was like, listen here, dick.
Yeah, there's no way.
Fuck you. But no, so I went there and I'm like, okay. So then I was like, fine. Then I went to the Toys R Us that's another Toys R Us, and I was like, same thing. I was like, fuck these fucking neckbeard, mouth breathers. I can't buy my daughter a fucking Rey figure.
It's just like there's the other rule of Star Wars, just like how there can only be 2 Sith, there can only be 1 black guy.
Yeah,
which is why Lando is not in Episode 7. Because there can only be 1 black person in all of Star Wars in the galaxy at a time.
Actually, I think there's like 3 black guys in the new movie. I mean, only one has a speaking part, but the other I think the other one might be like, we're coming in hot. I don't know, like one of those lines.
I don't know if that counts. Yeah. they don't have names.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, because you got Lando, you got Mace Windu, and Finn. That's it.
I get it. So I'm like, goddamn mouth breather, neck beards. I can't buy a fucking, because I guarantee you, as soon as like the shipment comes in, they all like go on the little forums and they're like,
oh, see, no, you haven't been paying attention. Like Rey is an underproduced figure.
I'm just saying all of the figures that like the main character figures, like even Kylo Ren.
Well, yeah. So I'm selling Star Wars toys, so I know the waves are all cocked up, and this is why it's hard to find figures of specific characters, because when they produce a wave of figures, they produce like 4 to 6.
Yeah.
And then that's it. And then they go to the next wave. But when they don't restock the other waves.
So stupid.
The one wave will be like, it has Finn, it has 2 stormtroopers and like
random alien
and like a Jawa.
Yeah.
And then that one comes out. And then the next wave will have Rey and then like 2 rebel guys and then like a Wookiee.
Yeah, it's
and then the next wave will. That's the thing. Like the main character, they don't refer. It's the opposite of the Batman problem, where you have
like 8 different Batman,
infinite Batman, where it's like he's Arctic Camo Batman.
Arctic Camo Batman is the worst Batman.
You know
ever.
what? You know what's the best? I was watching the show. They finally put it on Netflix, but the Batman.
Oh yeah.
And
was that the CG one?
No, that's Beware the Batman.
Okay,
that one was terrible.
Yeah, that one. Was,
Batman was one that came out. It's very like edgy aesthetic. It's got like a really weird look. I like it a lot, actually. It's one of my
I don't know that one. I watched Brave and the Bold. That was the last one I watched.
This one's kind of the opposite of Brave and the Bold. This one also takes the characters in a different direction, but it's kind of a weird direction. So like the Joker is like kind of like weird and lanky. He doesn't wear shoes, and he's like capoeira kind of guy.
Ooh.
Yeah, he's weird. He like
capoeira.
The thing that's cool is like this Joker like fights Batman. Like everyone in
does he Brazilian dance fight Batman?
Yes, pretty much every villain in the Batman fights Batman. Like they all fight him. Like they're not. There's no like
Batman comes in, beats up goons, and then captures the guy.
Right.
Yeah,
So like the Penguin's like fucking flipping around and like shooting him with his umbrella, and the Penguin has these two Asian like assassin ladies with claws, and like they're trying to kill him. But in an episode of the Batman, the Mr. Freeze episode, he goes to get Mr. Freeze, who in this version is a like small time crook who was like driving a fucking getaway car and like crashed in like a cryogenics thing, and he just has ice powers.
Ooh, ice powers.
So he's got like a frozen head, and he just like shoots ice out of his hands. Like he doesn't. It's not super science, and he doesn't have the ice gun. He's also not Dr. Victor Fries. He's just some fucking criminal.
Yeah.
But he's going after him in his like frozen fortress, and he actually gets in the fucking Arctic camo outfit. It's got the white hood, and I was like, it's Arctic camo Batman.
Arctic camo Batman, the one Batman figure that your parents would buy you because they just like, I don't give a shit.
No, it's because it would always be there.
Yeah, it would always be there too.
It's like what Batman do you want, honey? It's like, I want the one that's white. I want the stark white Batman.
Well, and that's the thing, and it's like as a concerned, not a concerned parent, but as a parent who knows better, I'm going to go get my kid the figure that actually is the important figure. Like,
you should probably just use Amazon like a normal human being.
Amazon doesn't have them either. I was looking, and they were like $26 because fucking neckbeards were buying them all up and selling them. I know, but I'm not going to pay that much money for it. Like, I refuse to do that. But anyway, so I finally went to the Toys R Us that was right by here, and they had the Ray wave, So I was like, oh, finally a Ray figure. And as I picked up the figure, a literal like standard nerd, like the guy,
like a totally classic nerd,
like classic, like wearing the cargo pants with the flip flops and like the too tight T-shirt that were like under part of the belly's like hanging out, and like the huge big neck beard, and like just greasy, gross looking, just like totally saunters up and pulls 4 of them off the wall to buy them. I'm like, you asshole. Like I was so close to like literally yelling at him, like, dude, just leave that there for the kids who want to fucking buy it. Don't be that dick.
I mean, it's the toy company's fault. They produce a artificial scarcity.
I understand that, but at the same time, I'm kind of like, you dick.
People want to make money, bro.
I know.
There's lots of people who will love their child enough to pay $26 for a Ray toy.
It's true. I don't love my child enough to pay $26 for a Ray toy. I paid $9.
You failed that test.
I paid $8.50 for it, however much it came out with taxes.
You failed the test, the classic American test of monetary expenditure equals level of love.
Yes, I agree with that. But I was like, okay, fine. I was fucking pissed at the guy. I got what I wanted, but I was still pissed at him. I'm like, you asshole.
Dick.
Yeah, you dick. And so then I went to Half Price Books and I got the Star Wars books there. And at the same time they have the cabinet there. They have the rarer books, and there was a bunch of D&D stuff there, right? Nothing too rare.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a couple books there that I was like, oh, that's actually kind of a rare thing to find. But they were all like really, really fucking expensive. And as I walk up to buy the Star Wars books, and the woman who was behind the counter, I think she's the manager of that Half Price Books. She was like, "Oh, do you play Dungeons and Dragons?" I'm like, "Yeah, I collect the books. And
I've rolled a dice or two.
I've rolled a d20." She was like, "Yeah, I got a bunch of really beautiful Dungeons and Dragons stuff in the center case if you want." And I was just like, at that point, I was just like, I'm like tired of like these people who are gouging at this point. And I'm like, "Yeah, those are just way too expensive for what they are." And she's like, "Well, they are out of print." I'm like, "Yeah, All of those books are out of print. Every single Dungeons and Dragons book except 5th edition is out of print.
Yeah, this is first edition.
I said that. I said everything outside of 5th edition is out of print. And I said, Ed, all those books that you have up on the shelves are out of print too. And I go, those are just way too expensive. And I just laughed at that point because I was like, fuck you. I'm tired of it. I'm just tired of it. Because of course they're out of print. Everything is out of print. And the stuff they had there wasn't even that. There was one or two things that was like kind of on the rare side, but they had a copy of like Ravenloft Carnival of Evil, and I'm like, that book was one of the last things that they produced, and it was like you could literally find them for like $4 online, and you're selling it for 20. Fuck you,
dude. That's all of those. Everything is going up. All of the old collector stuff is just like the price is just climbing up and up and up and up. And there's you know why? It's because a new edition of D&D came out and it's fucking popular.
Yeah.
Every time a new edition of D&D comes out, all of the old stuff gets a huge price boost.
Well, luckily this edition is actually good as opposed to the last edition.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah. Oh my god, the amount of 4Ed books that you could find now are just.
Well, fourth edition is worth nothing.
Yeah.
That's a constant.
Yeah, and that's why
I actually picked up something myself.
What'd you pick up? Let me see. I was wondering what those were. I saw those. Oh, nice.
I got the.
Where'd you get these from?
You know, an undisclosed source.
Undisclosed source. You know what? I love the Lord of the Rings stuff. What I don't like is
it's the Deciphered Lord of the Rings role playing game.
Yeah, the Deciphered. Sorry about that. What I don't like is I don't like this, and it's kind of hard to explain. It's simply an aesthetic thing. I don't like this aesthetic to it. Like it looks too movie-ish. Like it looks like it's like a movie.
You like the movie stills?
Like a movie art book. It looks more
right.
like.
Well, I mean,
this
is clearly it's a movie tie-in.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
RPG.
Absolutely. And you got the 3 books in the core book. These are nice.
I actually don't have the Return. I actually don't have the Return of the King. I have the Two Towers, the Fellowship, and then Fell Beasts.
Yeah.
So I'm still on the hunt for some more. I think there's a total of 11 books in the.
This is a nice thing. If they're all bound like this is. Really, and they got the numbers on them too. That's really cool.
Yep.
So you could actually put them on your shelf and it will look real nice with it.
Yep.
I like that.
Yeah. They're. Really...
I would never buy that because it's, as I say, I don't like the movie aesthetic to it. Like I have the Star Wars books right here, and like you open it up, and it's all just like these black and white drawings.
Well, yeah, because that was before they could do high end
high-end printing. Yeah.
Also, you have to pay more if you use the movie stills, because then you have to put the movie brand. You have to, if there's actors in there, there's a whole bunch of more, like for
likeness rights and stuff like that. For
example, Imperial Assault is available Imperial Assault is available at a worse discount to distributors and retailers because of likeness rights.
Yep.
It's a more expensive game for Fantasy Flight to produce because they have to pay more to make that game.
Yeah, and it's fine. I mean, you got to pay what you got to pay for it, and I appreciate it. I mean, those are really nice though. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of tie-ins, how about that Dark Souls Kickstarter? For the Dark Souls game.
Oh, you mean the one that made $175,000 in a few minutes?
Was it 100? I thought it was like 175 million. I think it didn't it break the 1 mil at this point?
Oh yeah, it's well over that. I can bring it up now, but no, it was past $175,000 in a couple minutes, like literal minutes.
I didn't look too deep into it. I just looked at the figures. I thought the figures were pretty cool looking.
Yeah, it looks really nice.
Yeah, it's done by Steamforge, and didn't they do Guild Ball?
They do Guild Ball. Yeah.
It's
true.
So I bet you so it's at 1.3 million right now. 1.3 million pounds.
1.8 million US dollars.
Yeah. So yeah,
almost $2 million. 2 million smackers.
I mean, it's $100. You basically get all of the stuff.
Yeah, you pretty much get everything, and then they have it's really simple. There's a pledge thing where you get the game, you get the game, and you get all that the stretch goals, and then they have add-ons for each of the bosses.
Yeah, they're kind of doing the
Reaper Bones,
not Reaper Bones. Yes, Reaper Bones, but the I'm thinking Soda Pop model where it's like there's only like 2 pledge levels.
Yeah, well, there's actually only one because the second one is for retailers.
Yeah. So there's like 1 pledge level, and then you just you add on for what you're interested in.
Right.
And I think the models are really cool, and I didn't dig too deep into the play style.
I think it's actually, to be honest, from what I've been reading and looking, it seems like it's a game that's designed for one person.
Well, you are playing Dark Souls,
Right.
So
it
you're
seems like
probably
it's-
a very lonely person.
It seems like it's designed for yes, because it's one of the most successful games of all time.
Well, would you put that you posted the thing? It's like it comes with the figures, the game mats, and a nerd to tell you you're playing it wrong.
Yeah.
That's pretty much. Well, that's the reason. That's the reason why it's a lonely lifestyle, because it's like if you're playing with anyone else, you're gonna be like, no, this is not how you play it.
Well, see, that's the best thing about it. When you do multiplayer in that game, when you summon people into your game, you can't talk.
Yeah.
There is no chat.
Well, yeah.
So it's they come in, they help you, they leave. That's
Yeah.
it.
But I dig the figures. I kind of feel it's weird because I know it's not. I know Kingdom Death is a completely separate thing, but I kind of feel like it's a toned down version of Kingdom Death in terms, because you know me, I'm not a huge Dark Souls fan at all. I make fun of it, but I know people love it, and people love the aesthetic of the game. But I kind of feel like in looking at these models, which is probably the first time I've ever actually looked at a lot of the Dark Souls stuff, it kind of feels like a tamed down version of Kingdom Death. I mean, there's not enough penises, not enough vaginas.
Like Kingdom Death is that's I said before when we talked about Kingdom Death, I said it's a juiced up version of Dark Souls.
Yeah, I think I remember you hearing that. Yeah,
Yeah, it's like that's what it is. It's a more to the like extreme design of Dark Souls, but it's got that kind of like high goth dark fantasy aesthetic. That's all it is. It's a high goth dark fantasy aesthetic that several games share. Kingdom Death brought it to a more, I would say, abstract level, because the minis and like the monsters and stuff in Kingdom Death are even more bizarre than
I
the
really
ones...
wish I could look at them. I wish someone I knew had a box full of them that I could just look at the models.
Yeah, it'd be cool if someone like opened it and like you put it together.
Yeah.
But I don't know anyone who has that.
Okay.
The aesthetics weirder, and the hands, all the hands.
There's lots of hands.
Poots owes us a giant model with hands for wings, like with many hands for wings instead of feathers. Poots owes us. He said he was going to do it.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, it's. I mean, it
I would
obviously
like it to also have a giant penis that has hands for testicles.
Sure, that's fine. Actually, you know what?
Fists.
Hands holding the testicles.
Oh, hands holding the testicles. I
Yes.
kind of like that too.
Yes. Yeah. So obviously, this game was going to be
Supporting them.
yeah. Obviously, this game was going to be a smash. This is like a no-brainer. Like,
Yeah,
it's like, oh, Dark Souls board game and Kickstarter. It's going to make a fuck ton of money.
Well, I mean, and not only that, I mean, you gotta hand it to Steamforge that they did do pretty kick-ass models for it.
They captured the game's look perfectly. Like Ornstein and Smo look fucking awesome.
I'd like to see the final production run on the models to see how they actually look, because I one thing I did notice about it is that the swords and stuff with that are really, really thin. And so, like, a lot of times in these mass-produced games like that, those tend to get a little bendy.
Or break.
I mean, it depends on what kind of material they're...
Yeah, I
like,
don't know
if
what
you're
it's
using,
gonna
like, the bonesy material, it's going to be bendy.
Yeah, I don't know what they're using. I would imagine... I actually don't know if Guild Ball models are metal or resin, but...
I do like the Dragon Slayer with the Executioner. I love that model. It's
Oh
so
yeah,
cool looking.
that's Ornstein and Smo. They're one of the hardest fights in the game. It's like one of them shows up and the other one's there, and you're like, oh, it's two bosses at once. It's fucking brutal.
I love the crystal lizards though. They're like the dumbest looking things ever.
So yeah, those things are awesome. Those are, I don't know what the fuck they're gonna do in the game, but in the video game, when you kill those guys, they drop a rare stone.
Oh.
Like they're there, they usually hide and they make a little twinkling noise. It's like twinkle, 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 and you're like, oh, there's a crystal lizard, so you like look for him and kill him. The mimics are awesome though. Do you see the mimics?
Let me see.
I'll zoom in up on them. I got it right here. Take a look at their mimics.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, their mimics are fucking sweet because the Dark Souls, if you're familiar with the D&D style mimic where it just looks like a treasure chest with teeth and arms pop out of the side, well, the Dark Souls mimic is even more than that, where there's a giant floppy tongue and there's a huge long body that comes out under the treasure chest and has long legs. And listen, Dark Souls has a very dark D&D first edition aesthetic. That's what it is, but it's like a dark version. There's nothing comical.
I liked your description of it is the high gothic fantasy. Like the Lamentations of the Flame Princess kind of appeal to it.
Exactly.
Where all of the armor's super ornate or like just
or
brutal.
garbage.
Garbage.
Yeah.
Or what I'm saying is like the aesthetic is either like super ornate or brutal.
Yeah,
like,
that's a good. Their armor's like loaded with like fucking filigree and like there's fleur de lis on top of fleur de lis, and they're
Yeah, you know what's another game that uses that is Golem Arcana. Kind of use that aesthetic a little bit.
I think so. I didn't.
Where
look
it's
too
like
deep
you
at
have this
Golem
giant
Arcana.
thing, and then it has this like weird like kabuki mask in the front of it.
Okay,
and,
yeah.
like that sort of thing.
Yeah, and then like the giant bosses are like a part of the thing. I mean, it works really well. it looks cool. I have decided I'm not going to back it.
Yeah.
Even though I am, like I said before, I'm a huge Dark Souls Mongo. I just have so much shit.
You also have Kingdom Death that you have in a box in your closet that you haven't even opened
Right.
yet.
That's
and
what,
it's
again, that comes back to what I was saying. I have so much shit.
Yeah, I would if you haven't.
I haven't even played Twilight Imperium yet, and that game is built. It's like it's just it's a board game.
Yeah, I have that too, and I still have yet to really play it.
So like it's kind of like oh.
Yeah, I want to play it real bad. I played smaller games of it, like testing it out, but I have yet to play it like with like 4 other grognards who like we're all sitting around the table like with cigars on forks and like monocles playing
Yeah, because what I want to do is I want to learn how to play that game. I'll probably just try and do it by myself.
Yeah.
And then once I have a grasp on the game, then I'll try and teach it to people. Because I don't want to have like I've tried learning games with people, and like if it's complex, it's usually not fun.
The first game is miserable.
Yeah, it's usually like, and then it taints the rest of the,
There's a couple good YouTube like playthroughs of Twilight Imperium that are pretty good, with the exception, like you have to sort through them because there's a couple where the guy's like, oh, these are your
He's eating a sandwich.
planet cards. This is your ships and planet sun killer model thing.
He starts eating.
Yeah, exactly. It's like those type of guys. Look, there's a reason why I don't make like playthrough videos and stuff like that, because I'm always like, erg. I have a lot of those in my vocabulary that I use quite often. I don't like doing it too much.
There's new orc models on the workshop site.
Yeah, those are like. So essentially. So I play regularly with a Games Workshop manager, not the one a different one. Yeah, exactly. And
the brutes, they look like shitty mega knobs.
They're not orcs, dude. They're orcs.
Whatever, they look like shitty mega knobs.
I know. And the thing is that like I literally have to set a timer on my clock so I don't make fun of Age of Sigmar too often in front of him. Because we play games that are not Games Workshop, and so I'm always just like. And he's like, "Oh, this game was great." And I'm like, "Yeah, it's fun to play a game that has rules, ain't it?" And he's just like, it grates on him so much how much I make fun of Age of Sigmar. I have to be like, "That's my Age of Sigmar joke. Reset the clock." Yeah, I will make fun of Age. And one day will come where I will not make fun of Age of Sigmar, but today is not that day.
Today is not that day. For 6th edition,
Yeah.
You're running forward with fucking
For 6th edition.
Yeah, for 6th edition.
I'm running for my hardcover book and I just hit him with it. You know why that book hurts so much? Because it's filled with rules.
You're fucking running with Unreal Flame of the West.
I set my 6th edition book on fire and I throw it at him. I would set the Age of Sigmar book on fire and throw it at him. Yeah, but I mean, as I say, I would back the
Unreal Flame of the West, reforged from the shards of Narsil.
It's a good Kickstarter to back if you're going to back something.
Yeah,
you
looks,
get
it looks
a
sweet.
shit ton
If you
of
missed
stuff.
out on Kingdom Death and you don't want to drop $400 on the retail version, then go for Dark Souls.
Yeah,
Dark Souls is a much more reasonable $100 price.
but in my own personal feelings, I probably would say Kingdom Death is more my bag.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Kingdom Death is Kingdom Death is a weird game. It's also mechanically it looks because the Dark Souls game is, for all intents and purposes, it's going to be a difficult dungeon crawl.
Yeah.
That's all it is, though. It's going to be, you get drops from. It's literally a dungeon crawl.
Yeah.
You go and you kill enemies. Enemies drop items. You use items to defeat the boss. That's the game, which is Dark Souls. That's what Dark Souls is. It's a dungeon crawl.
Yeah.
But with Kingdom Death, you have, the game is deeper. It's a 4X game. So there's you're exploring. There's a hunt phase where you can go and try and kill a monster, but there's wandering monsters that can show up and fuck up your camp. There's leveling up. There's building. You can decide how you want to progress your settlement. We're gonna go for fire, and then you go for fire weapons. The complexity level is way higher in Kingdom Death than it is in Dark Souls. So it's more reasonable for an average person to get into the Dark Souls board game than Kingdom Death, I would say.
Yeah.
Also, the fact it's a single player, it seems like there's a focus on single player is really cool. I always like games even if they're good at multiplayer, I always love games that have a single player mode, simply for the fact of, one, I don't like people, so I like being able to play games by myself, and two, I like learning the game by myself, and then I can go, oh, because a lot of times when you encounter like an early rules issue, you're going to fucking hit it whether you're playing with yourself or other people. So if you encounter a weird interaction and you're like, how the fuck does this... It happened to me when I was playing the Lord of the Rings card game. I was like, how the fuck does this... Why does this go... I couldn't figure out something, and I actually went online and I was like, oh, okay, cool. And then sure enough, when I first played that game with someone, like 20 minutes into the game, they're like, what about this thing? And I'm like, I encountered that problem, so here's what we do. This is the solution. So having that option in a board game is always welcome for me.
Well, and so I'm glad there's people like you, because like me, I'd be like the type of person who would cheat through it. Because if I got no one watching me, I'm cheating.
So you're telling me your Fighting Fantasy book is just like got a bunch of erase marks and
yeah,
do
pretty
you ever play
much.
Fighting Fantasy?
No, but it'd be like choose your own adventure. I'd have my thumb on the page to go back.
That's Fighting Fantasy was like that, but you had a character sheet and stats. It was basically role playing, but the book was the DM.
I know the book. Yeah, I know the game.
Fucking love Fighting Fantasy, and I guess while like in the 80s, Steve Jackson Games did Fighting Fantasy, but it was a fucking toll number like you called.
Oh,
and there was an over the phone like Fighting Fantasy thing where your character carried over and shit. I don't know. It seemed like a fucking insanely amazing thing.
Yeah.
But talk about retro entertainment.
For me it was
Use your touch tone phone and dial 1-900-HOT-DUNGEON.
If you'd like to stab the dragon with your sword, press 1. If you'd like to run and cower in the corner, press 2.
No, I guess the game tracked more than that. So like if you didn't have like the king's shield, it'd be like, you must go back. You do not have the king's shield, and it just goes boop, and it just like puts you back to somewhere.
You just
like,
smash your hand on it. It's like, you have chosen regicide. You have killed the king of Andoran.
Your fingers are too fat. If you would like to order a special dialing wand, please mash the keyboard with your hand.
Exactly.
Pencil.
I don't want to look like a psycho. I'll take the moo.
But so they oh god. And let's see, is there anything else like gaming wise that
I mean the big
my
news,
interest?
the huge big news is new War Machine and
Warmahordes.
Dark Souls Kickstarter.
Warmahordes.
Just big timing.
Knowing that on Monday we're gonna have some other gigantic
Games
news.
Workshop announces the cancellation of Age of Sigmar.
Yeah, I don't know those new Oryx. It's like, why even bother having Age of Sigmar at this point when you could just put it in the 40K world? Take your Sigmarites, put them in the 40K world, take your Orcs and blend them in with your Orcs and be done with it.
I don't know.
It
seems like a token gesture, and they really just wanted to cancel the game.
It does seem like a token gesture. I don't know though. They've put out a lot of shit for it lately.
Have they really?
Well, they put out all those dwarves. There was a shit ton of dwarves.
There really wasn't a lot though. If you look at it, amount, and I think that a lot of these were who knows if they're still working on more. You know what I mean?
That's true. But what I'm saying is like, even if like, okay, so let's say they did 8th edition or whatever, a 9th edition. Let's say they did a 9th edition and they were going to put out new dwarves for the 9th edition. They would only put out like 3 or 4 new boxes. That's all they would put out.
But they would keep the old things in production, and now they're discontinuing shit. Like the Bretonnians are gone.
Yeah,
High Elves are gone.
I know they discontinued a shit ton of the High Elf
Tomb
stuff.
Kings are gone.
Yeah, but no one played Tomb Kings except you, Steve.
Don't get me started. But I mean, like so many. I mean, a lot of the undead is like so many of the armies are disappearing. Yeah. They're just boop boop boop. They're just phasing them out. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a very very small range for Age of Sigmar at some point where it's barely any models, and it's just going to be a pushed back, discontinued. It's going to be a slowly discontinued game. I think.
I agree.
As they refocus on 40K and the new specialist games, which is looks like that's going to be the direction they're going to take the company.
Yeah, I'm surprised that they haven't released Blood Bowl yet. It's been on like the queue for a while now.
I mean, I imagine they're going to do. They probably want to have whatever the next thing is, waiting in the wings.
Yeah. Well, I know they're probably waiting for like whatever the end of the next quarter.
Yeah, and there's going to be the redone commitment to Lord of the Rings as well.
Yeah,
the Middle Earth strategy battle game.
Yeah, if that ever happens, I'm not holding my breath on that one.
We'll see. I mean, supposedly from what this is all the rumor mill, but the rumor mill is that New Line didn't give them a lot to work with for Battle of Five Armies.
Yeah,
which is why there was almost no models released for it, because New Line just didn't give them the shit. So like they're like, yeah, we were because they released a good amount of models for both The Hobbit and for
Lord of the Rings.
Desolation of Smaug and Unexpected Journey, but Battle of Five Armies.
You're talking the movie Battle. I'm thinking the box game Battle of Five Armies.
No. Yeah, I'm talking the movie. And the New Line didn't give them a lot of stuff for Battle of Five Armies, so that's why there's no Dane on Big Pig, and there's like, that's why a bunch of those like conspicuous models. Because even if they did a small wave, they're still gonna do. They probably would have done Thranduil on his like War Elk and stuff.
Yeah,
they didn't do that because New Line didn't. New Line kept a bunch of that stuff under wraps from them. So they're like, we don't know why, but yeah, they're going to be they're going to be consolidating the ranges. The Hobbit and the
Lord of the Rings.
They're going to squish the ranges, and it's going to be the Middle Earth strategy battle game. Supposedly, it's going to be like a fully supported line. We'll see. I'm excited for it because I fucking love Lord of the Rings, and if I'm going to buy anything with Games Workshop on it, it also needs to say Lord of the Rings on it. And if it doesn't, I won't. So we'll see. Also, they don't use those stupid fucking CAD models. I am actually like, I've had it up to fucking here with the Games Workshop CAD model aesthetic. Looking at that fucking wyvern, it's like got the super fat head and like super fat body, and it's like, what the fuck are you doing?
It's chunky.
It's chunky, but everything's chunky. All of their CAD models are super chunky.
That's what I was saying. Yeah, it's
They're,
like
the Star Dragon. Same thing.
Star Dragon.
It's like there's no curves. It's like everything's like got like straight, angular, like blocky lines.
Yeah. No, I understand, and like I get it completely. With the Lord of the Rings though, it's like, has that ship sailed to the Undying Lands? Like,
I don't think so. I think there's still. I mean, judging by the fan base and the support and the people looking for Lord of the Rings models, like just look at the price of Lord of the Rings models, and it's not that they're. It's not one of those things where it's like, oh, these are valuable, but people don't buy them. Like, people are dropping bank on those figures because people want them, and I think there's demand for them. And look at the most expensive Lord of the Rings miniatures are the ones you can't get anymore at all.
Yeah,
not just metal. Like, you'll get a bump in value if they're metal and they're still available from the Workshop Direct site, but because they'll be in resin on the website. But the models that are not available on the website, no matter what, even if they're fine cast, like whatever it is, if they're available on eBay but not on the website, those models are worth a ton because everyone is trying to get them. Everyone wants. I
really should just sell all my shit.
You have Lord of the Rings stuff?
I have so much Lord of the Rings stuff. I'm not. What are you going to offer me? What can you offer me for these?
I don't know. I got a Wrath of King. I got a Kings of War army.
I don't want your Kings of War.
Come on.
I don't want your Kings of War.
Come on.
I don't need your Klingon women.
Come on.
I
don't need your fantasy.
I don't
women.
need your fantasy women.
Come on.
I have
some Dark Age.
I have an entire Riders of Rohan army. I have a High Elf army with all of the metal figures.
Is it painted?
No.
Okay.
It's all unpainted on sprue, pretty much.
Nice.
Some of it's painted, but not much. I have a whole Easterling army with a Mumak and like a bunch of random orcs that I have. I don't need any of it, but I just can't get rid of it. I really need to sell it though. I should. I'm not. What? You have to offer me something.
I have contacts. I have things.
I have contacts. I have things.
Yeah. I mean, what do you want? You have a problem, so I can just like offer you random things, right?
Yeah. Well, maybe I'll show them to you sometime in the future. Right. I have them in like a big, like giant clamshell case that I just. It's weird. Like,
that does sound weird.
So yeah, because I work in a school and we're always throwing out all this old equipment that we don't use anymore. So they had this case that's about half the size of this table, but it's a giant clamshell that they used to keep like those giant headphones in that you listen to, like when you plug it into the tape recorder, and it'd be like, boop. Today we are going to be learning about cells, and it's like one of those things. So like the headphones, they were long gone, so they had these giant cases they were just throwing out, and I was like, oh, I'll keep these because they're really great for keeping sprues in. Mm-hmm. So that's why it's about this.
Oh, it's just in sprues.
Yeah, it's just
okay.
in metal and stuff like that.
Okay.
But so I just dumped it all in there because I don't need
that's
it.
Actually, that's like, believe it or not, that's a surprisingly reduced value item now.
What, sprues?
Yeah.
If
it's just sprues, like if it doesn't have the boxes, like the difference between stuff going in boxes and not boxes is like lots on. Oh, I mean, because I've been looking, I check on eBay at least once a week for deals on Lord of the Rings models, and most of the time, like I got a metal Sauron with Isildur, for like $16 because it was out of the box. Huh. and in box it's like 55 plus.
I saw a really great conversion a guy did for Battle 5 Armies, the 10 mil game, where he used the metal Sauron as his Sauron. So it's like this gigantic Sauron that's leading the battlefield. I'm like, oh, that is really cool looking, because he used all the cobblestone casting stuff to build up, because they were doing a Battle of Pelennor Fields army. It was really nice looking like game that he did there, but that was his Sauron. That's
fucking cool.
Yeah, and the guy had really great looking Mumoks too, because I think Eureka does really cool Mumok looking guys. Yeah, the Eureka 10 mil stuff is fucking gorgeous. I have a bunch of it for Warmaster that I was using, and I would really highly recommend their stuff because it's just really cool looking. And as I say, I'm like on that 10 mil. Like,
hey, I love 10 mil. So like that's the thing with Kings of War 10 mil. I will probably be going into that.
Yeah, well, it all depends on when it happens. It's probably not going to happen until the end of the year, if not next year.
Well, we'll see. I don't know. I love 10 mil. Like, I jizzed all over it last cast, and I'm going to do it again. Just everything about 10 mil, I love it. Everything, the terrain, just building the terrain, like just working with those tiny little houses. Oh,
you know what I don't like?
Boner.
You know what I don't like about 10 mil?
There aren't enough people playing it.
Well,
because that's true.
Aside from that. My biggest complaint with 10 mil is on display. Now I know you don't have a ton of your stuff on display, and you had your army on display a while ago, last time I was here, but I have like all these giant cases that I do, and I have custom shelves in there.
10 mil looks weird.
10 mil, and the shelf looks great. Like, it looks really cool when it's all organized, but there's so much empty space above it at the next shelf. You're just like, I just feel like this is wasted.
Yep. Yeah. You need like a more, I don't know, narrow shelving system for it.
It's weird.
You need like a custom 10 mil shelving unit.
Actually, IKEA has these floating shelving units now that are really nice, that you hang on the wall, they're small enough that you could put like some really nice stuff in there. So if you have like anything that's like platoon size, like between 10 and 30 figures, it would work really well on display in there.
Okay.
And I think you could put some 10 mil stuff in there as well. It all depends. If I remember correctly, the molding around the windows might be a little too thick for 10 mil, but aside from that, yeah. And you could put, it's IKEA, so you could put lights and stuff in there. It looks really nice. I occasionally look at the IKEA when they do like their New Year's stuff that they put out. I'm like, what new shelving do they have that I can look at? Because I have 4 of their tall cases with double shelves that custom shelves that I put in there, completely filled. So I need to get a new one.
Yeah, I actually just have.
You have
some gap filler here.
I was gonna say, like, is that what you have on display? Some DAP?
Yeah, some DAP. This is for the Wrath of Kings, actually.
Oh yeah,
I'm gonna fill their base with it.
Oh, nice. Yeah,
because their bases, they have like those recessed things that are made for those Slata resin things.
Yeah,
which is like really cool. Except when you realize those resin things are insanely expensive.
Yeah,
it would be more than the price of my army just to do the bases.
Yeah, it is really expensive if you don't have casting equipment.
No, I mean, sure. I mean, I have that. You gave me that shit, but I mean, it's still like I don't want to do that work.
Yeah.
Like I'd rather, like, if I'm not going to use if I was going to use the thing I was going to plug in, I'll just do this. So because I just jizz this in the hole and put sand on top of it.
So I'll do a little. I know we're running low on time, but I don't know if you got anything to do. But on my a little modeling corner, which we don't do too often here, is
modeling corner.
Joe has too much time. So what I use for my basing now, I don't use lip bases anymore. I'm done with lip bases.
I love lip bases.
I use 1-inch washers now, metal washers, or slugs. Anything I could get. You could get metal slugs that are 1 inch that are like super cheap. Like literally, you could buy a box of 100 for $2. Right. So I use those because they're already metal. So I make these custom movement trays for them that I just buy rare earth magnets from China that are next to nothing, and I just customize it. It's really nice system that I use. Since it's already metal, just pop right on there. I don't have to worry about magnetizing it and doing all this bullshit. But what I do is I make a custom top for the slugs out of resin, and I cast that, and then I just pop them out. I can pop out like 100 at a time for next to nothing, so that way I don't have to worry about any of that stuff. The only problem I have with that is that the models that you glue onto those resin, they break off all the time. It's a pain in the ass, so you have to pin them.
Yep, that's why I'm thinking this gap filler is going to work out real good, because I'm gonna, when I fill the gap, I'm going to let it dry about halfway, and I'm going to stick the actual model into the gap filler.
Yeah.
So when that dry, like in theory, I've never done this before, but in theory, when that shit dries and I put sand on top of it, that model is not going anywhere.
No, it won't.
It will break before it gets off the base.
That DAP is pretty good for that. The only thing is like you have to sand on top of it,
Right,
because
which I plan to do.
because it does not take paint very well.
Yeah, I plan to sand on top of it
I mean,
because
it does take paint all right.
I mean I like the texture and like I love love basing. It takes forever, but I love it.
Yeah, I hate basing so much.
Yeah,
That's why I come up with any solution possible
to avoid it.
To avoid having to
like
base.
basing. I love basing because I love doing the the getting like the little leaves just right and like putting like this little bush here.
You're the worst.
I love it. That's my
it's
favorite.
like that's something that I would be like, oh no, you gotta put the leaves on there. You gotta get the little like tea bags and everything.
Yeah, that's
like
what
that.
I have little packets of leaves.
Yeah, well, like you gotta cut open that potpourri and use that shit. Like I hate that so much.
Yeah, dude, that's my jam. I love that's that comes back to the 10mm thing. Like I want to do a fall wargaming table for 10mm. I want to do like empty trees with like leaves underneath them and just like the different color, like, and then some just color changing. Oh man,
It's so funny that you love all that basing and shit, but like painting, you're like, good enough.
It's good enough.
For me, it's like the painting is like the prime part.
It's just
and the basing is
good
what? Enough.
It just goes to show. It's just like Delanois. Like Delanois is like the master assembly, and like he's the perfect. Everything's amazing.
And that's where me and you were both like, good enough.
Yeah, exactly. And but everything is perfect, and he doesn't even paint his models.
No.
Not a drop of paint has ever touched a Delanois model.
The thing too that I noticed about a lot of his stuff is that you don't even see like the glue haze.
No, it's perfect.
Like just sometimes when you use super glue on, like when you're gluing the model to the base, sometimes that little bit of white will like show up on the base, like that haze,
just a little bit.
And this doesn't even show up on there.
His construction is perfect, and not a drop of paint touches those models. So everyone's got their own thing.
Yeah,
and I mean, I like painting too. I love painting, but not when it. The problem is, games like Kings of War, where it's like, it's 240 models and they're all garbage. Like,
Well,
cool.
as I say, like your painting is good enough.
Yeah, it's fucking good enough.
Tabletop is good enough for you.
Yes, that
and
is
I
absolutely correct.
understand that.
But now when I do something like Arena Rex, my models are going to be
this is because there's only 4 models.
Exactly.
I was actually the guys I was gaming with. I was like, we were playing some butt action, and they had like their Arena Rex stuff there. I'm like, you guys have Arena Rex? We should have brought Arena Rex. Why can't we play Arena Rex right now?
Yeah. I actually have to get I'm gonna purchase the official Arena Rex dice as well.
Are they Arena Rex dice?
Yeah, they got the faction ones.
Yes, they had them at Adepticon. You should have went.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be there next year.
Yeah, they had their.
No matter what, I'm going to Adepticon next year.
And
so.
they had like
I want to schmooze and meet with people and shake hands and stroke dicks.
They had some like limited edition like of the Egyptian dice too, because I guess they were cast in the wrong color.
Ooh.
Yeah, and so I think those are going to be. You're never going to see those again. But.
Yeah, well, I'll be there. I'll probably pick up any missing Egyptian minis because I don't have the dude with the hyena, so I'm gonna get that guy and then.
They didn't have him there when I was there.
Yeah, he's like brand new.
Brand new, yeah.
Yes, I'm gonna get him and then so I'll be doing that next to Adepticon. I'll be ready to go and possibly I might even have a small Hordes army.
Whoa, what are you thinking?
Pigmen and Gators.
Pigmen and Gators.
I've said that
you love Pigmen.
I've said before. I was like, there's 2 things. One, I really like the Pigmen, and I also like the Gators. And I said I said if they ever release a supplement that allows you to use the Pigmen and the Gators together, I would do a Pigmen Gator army.
But they're natural enemies in the wild.
And I have to be true to my word, and I have a Pigmen Gator army. Well, I mean, did
the Pigmen and Gators have a colossal? Or whatever
no, they have battle engines, but they do not have a colossal.
I would like a giant pig.
The pigman battle engine is a fucking big cart that has like a giant grinder wheel and like pigs on turrets. And then the Gatorman one is this giant like pillar, and it has these like 2 giant albino gators pushing it, and there's like a priest on top of it and like candles and shit. It's pretty cool looking.
Yeah. But they don't have a colossal.
They do not have a colossal at this time.
I wish they would like a giant pig.
Well, there's also a new Hordes faction coming, so who knows what that's going to be? Yeah, it's going to be a brand new faction. So
interesting.
I don't know what it could be because I mean I'm no Iron Kingdoms expert.
I hope it's dinosaurs.
I don't know what it would be.
Dinosaurs.
But that's Scorn. Like the Scorn have dinosaurs.
Yeah, I guess they have dinosaurs.
That's what I'm saying. Like I don't know what faction is missing.
Pterodactyl, man.
I don't know what faction's missing. Like I mean I read it's been a long time since I read the original Monsternomicon, the 3.5 book. But
Fishmen. It's Fishmen.
But Fishmen are in the Gatorman army. They're bog trogs.
Yeah, but I mean,
they even have a Warcaster, Rask. He's even in there. That's what I'm saying.
Stop ruining for me.
I'm not ruining it. I'm honestly trying to figure out what it could be because it seems like they've covered everything in their lore. So I'm like, what the fuck is it? It's bugging me.
It's going to be halfling, Steve.
But I guess the Cyrus were it's probably gonna be something with the convergence, because the convergence were like mentioned in like a paragraph, and they were not fleshed out beyond. If there's a nerd expert out there, they can correct me. But like they were mentioned in a paragraph, but beyond that, there was nothing fleshed out. And then they're just like, bam, here's that faction. Like they were sleeping. Theme forces. I forgot to mention that. That's another big thing. So the current thing that's like,
yeah, I've heard theme forces.
Yeah, one of the things
I did hear.
wrecking the game right now is theme forces being like very contentious. I don't know if it's like because they suck or they're too OP or like the various power levels are too high. Whatever the case is, it's that's another thing where it's stagnation, because like people are like, you know, this caster is always seen because their particular theme list is broke.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. In the past, I've heard that the best way to be competitive is you have to play a themed force. That's just what I've heard. It's probably not right. I don't play the game.
So now
when people mention the game to me, I just go, pfft.
That's what I do when I hear butt action.
Yeah, exactly.
I
gotta tell you stuff I can't talk about it on air, but I gotta tell you some stuff about that.
The new thing is going to be factions have theme forces, but it's a faction theme force. So it's like like the rising tide, or like the well asunder, and all that is it's a theme force where you have to meet certain requirements, but it's not tied to the casters anymore.
Oh, okay. Because that's the way it was. It was tied to the casters before,
right? Yeah. So there would be like, well, this warcaster sucks, but this theme force is really good, or this theme force sucks, but the warcaster is good. Whatever the case. So now it's going to be there are just theme forces, and you can take them and plug and play whatever warcaster you want.
That sounds cool.
Yeah.
I like that idea more than.
And they're pulling back on a couple of the bonuses, because the problem that they're like one of the refocus things is like, for example, let's say you have a theme force that gives +2 armor to your warjacks. Well, that doesn't show that on your card. So like I run up to your warjack and I'm like, your warjack's got armor 17. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna whack it, and you're like, actually it's got armor 19. And I'm like, why does it have armor 19? That's not on the card. And it's like, you don't have a buff or anything. You're like, well, my theme force gives it to me. And I'm like, oh, okay, great.
That's why you need one of those Yu-Gi-Oh card things on your wrist that you can have all the cards on there.
It's time to duel.
You just got Shadow Zone.
You're going right to the Shadow Realm.
Shadow Realm. Damn it. I always screw that up.
Not so fast, Kaiba. What you didn't know is my trap card can be activated safely from here. The card of safe return. My monster you destroyed has been returned to the battlefield, and your monster has been destroyed.
You're making me uncomfortable. We have to go to my safe zone.
And now I will attack your life points directly.
I have to go to my safe zone.
Dude, I want to be the star of a card game anime.
You should be.
That would be awesome.
I would like it if it's like you, like the way I would do the anime, if I was going to do like a card game anime of you, it would basically be you like in your normal everyday life dealing with like your normal everyday stuff. You look exactly like you, but then it's like you get transported to your card realm and you're like a 3 foot tall like cat girl.
Yes.
Yeah. Who like does the battle that way.
Nice.
And then like once you defeat them, you go back to who you are, and it's
sick.
Like, yeah, that's the way I would do it.
Nice.
So it's like the complete
Neckbeard Neko-san.
I like it. I like it. We should have someone do this anime for us.
All right, very good.
Or a manga, if you will.
Manga.
Manga. I'm from Chicago.
I'll do a visual novel.
A visual novel.
Yeah, I'll do a visual novel.
Yeah. And it's like all your cards. Like I'd have to like figure out like how you would display the cards, because like they on Yu-Gi-Oh they have the arm thing. Like we have to figure out how that would work.
Well, the big trend like with Vanguard and stuff is like they have like a table that like rises up and they like put their cards down on the table, and then it like creates the fighting things in the front.
You know what it would be? It would be you would have when you find the cards in your real life, like you have to like, and then once you
rip in packs,
like it's similar like that, but it's like you only find them in like other games that you're playing. So like Magic, you open up, but then you find the card for like your Neckbeard Neko-san game, like in the card pack, and then like you take it up, and it's like that's what transports you to this realm, and then the card gets absorbed to you, and then you have your whatever battle animals on your nails, and then you show your nails like ching! And then the animals rise up from the table like marionettes. They come down from your hand like marionettes. Nice. And it's like
That
do it
was
like that.
That was actually, it's funny that we were talking about ripping packs of. That was one of my favorite things in some of the early episodes of Card Fight Vanguard. There were episodes where like before they did their like played the game, they were like ripping packs. Like he's like, "What'd you get?" And he's like, "Oh, I got something awesome."
Yeah, that's the way I would play it.
was
Something
sweet.
similar to that, like where you're like, oh, like you're playing another game that's like really lame. Like that would be the thing. Like that's how drudgery of your real life is. You're playing like this like boring vanilla card game. It would probably be like called like Vanilla Bean or something like that. Because the Japanese would like it because it's like got bean in it, and Japanese like beans for some odd reason.
Because red bean paste is delicious.
Yeah, like something like that. So it's called Vanilla Bean.
I want to eat red bean paste right now.
So as you're playing it, you're like, oh, you're at a tournament or something like that, and it's like a blind pull tournament, whatever, blind pack tournament. And as you're in the middle of playing the thing, you open it up, and then you see the card. You're like, oh no, but this card's going to transport me to my to the card realm, but I can't do this right now because I'm in the middle of a tournament. And then you're like, it's too late. Something like that.
All right.
See, I know nothing of this, so this is all just coming off the top of my head. As the way you're laughing at it, I suppose I may have hit something correctly on that.
So a lot of times like card fight I'll use card fight as an example. When the anime starts, it's very like I loved the like first season because it's very much like this kid learning to play a card game and he fucking sucks and he gets bodied by everyone and like he learns more about the game and like he goes to his first tournament and gets shit on and like it's very, very like set in the real world. And then like now it's about like space wizards and shit. Well, it's like they go from like a very grounded in reality thing and then like now it's about like time traveling monsters. It's like, it's so weird. Like it's like your feet are still planted on the earth, but your head is in space.
I think. Oh, also, when you get transported to the realm, you do suck at the game at first, and I'm behind you. Like I'm like the spirit guy who's like trying to get you to get good at the game, but I'm dressed as Napoleon, and I don't offer you any advice. I just tell you you're terrible at this game entire time.
Well, shouldn't you be playing then? And I'm telling you you're terrible.
No, that's the whole thing. Is like I'm terrible at the game too.
You don't know what you're doing.
I don't know what I'm doing.
Putting up a front.
I'm just putting up a front because I'm dressed as Napoleon.
I see. And you do the thing with your hand.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm riding a zebra.
Okay.
That would be the thing,
Nice.
Going back to zebras. All right, I have nothing else. Do we have any other gaming news to talk about it? Because I don't want to talk about this anime anymore.
You're lost.
I'm lost in this anime world right now.
You're floundering, man. You're out in the ocean. You're seeing a fin.
All right,
I think we hit all the gaming news.
Yeah. Go to planetarbitrary.com for your Planet Arbitrary needs. You can follow me on Twitter at Planet Arbitrary. You can follow Steve at
Play on Steve.
Play on Steve. Oh, you got a new Twitter?
Yeah, Mitomo.
Mitomo.
Yeah, made me do a Twitter, so I was like,
oh,
I got to get those sweet Splatoon items. So
yeah.
You can now follow me on Twitter. I share a bunch of my me. I'm in a pancake suit right now.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
And speaking of Play On, you could listen to the Play On podcast as well as our sister podcast with Pat B in his new house.
And Pat's Retro Video Game Review podcast.
Pat's Retro Video Game Review podcast. You could also listen to Game Classy. You could also...
You're listening to Game Classy right now.
Yeah. You can also listen to Comic Book Logic, where we talk about comic book and comic book movies. This week, we're going to be doing the made-for-TV 1990 Captain America movie in preparation for Captain America: Civil War.
Nice.
Yeah, that's gonna be. That's what I'm doing right after this. I'm going and getting drunk, and we're gonna watch the Captain America movie. And record. That movie I watched like 5 minutes of it yesterday. I'm like, oh god, I can't do this sober. You could also listen to us on the YouTubes. This podcast won't get taken out with the DMCA notice, just like every other Comic Book Logic podcast does. And you could also find us on Reddit on Our Game Classy. Actually, on Reddit, if you guys are interested in Arena Rex, I know we talked that up. Arena Rex has a subreddit now that's actually doing pretty well on it. So I would take a look at that if you're interested. Thank you for that, Steve.
I want to make sure to get that right in the mic.
Yeah.
That wasn't a commentary on Arena Rex.
Yeah.
I'm very excited about it, actually. I just had a yawn.
And the best way you can help out the podcast is like, comment, subscribe on iTunes. I haven't checked to see if we've gotten any reviews lately.
Game Classy, anything but classy.
Game Classy, anything but classy. Yes, thank you, James. I know we make fun.
That was awesome.
I know we like to make fun of the British quite a bit.
I don't. You do.
I do. What can I say? Boiled meat, bad teeth, same thing. So Steve, until
I don't know. You can't. You're stretching with that bad teeth thing. I've seen Kentucky.
Well, that's true. God bless Mississippi and Kentucky, because
they're keeping America honest.
What's the other one? Is it North Carolina?
North Carolina.
That's the other one. Yeah.
Any of those shit Southern states.
I like I just on a brief tangent. I know you don't watch Saturday Night Live that often, right?
I see they're like the things on YouTube.
Yeah. Did you see
God is a Boob Man?
God is a Boob Man.
Fucking perfect.
Where the guy he's just like, Governor, our state is the lowest when it comes to education, healthcare, and
Highest in obesity.
Highest in obesity. What should we do? And the woman comes in and is like, I need you to help defend God in a court.
I need to deny
Like,
basic goods and services to gay people.
Hold on. This is our priority.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was
You know, when
perfect.
I talk about how great America is, I tend to just I compartmentalize the South. It's a completely awful place. So Steve, until next time.
Dun, 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 dun. This is my song now. Just making it up. It's a song because I didn't sing enough on this cast.
Game Classy.